A major day for a movement that just keeps on growing. We've been telling you for weeks now about how the Occupy Wall Street movement in Lower Manhattan is shaping up. It's going on Wall Street itself. That protest, nearly 3 weeks old now, saw a huge sea change when it was joined yesterday by the unions, a move that gave these protesters a surge in size and strength. Now, another thing that's helping the movement gain support is images of police brutality. Images like this. This video from last night shows police using their nightsticks to try to keep protesters from crossing the barriers. Videos like this are popping up everywhere. And in Washington, D.C. today, a major movement as we hit the 10-year anniversary of the invasion of Afghanistan. Thousands of people came out and are pledging support, many of them pledging to camp out just down the street from our studios, actually, on Freedom Plaza, until all the troops return home. We'll be talking about what's going on the East Coast, but this video is from Los Angeles, where a crowd of protesters gathered outside of a Bank of America branch in downtown L.A. Apparently, they marched into the bank and tried to cash a check for $673 billion. RT correspondent Ramon Galindo was at the protest and joins me now with some details. Ramon, what is this all about?
That's right, Christine. Well, the protesters went in there with that blank or with that check made out to California taxpayers. The group Refund California says that that is the amount that banks have taken away from the California economy. And once again, the Occupy Wall Street was a very main focus of this manifestation. Now, we saw people who were members of Occupy Los Angeles join in the march. We had worker unions. We had churches here. We had plenty of community organizers. More than 1,000 people took to the streets of Los Angeles, demonstrating in front of several banks here in downtown Los Angeles, Wells Fargo, Chase, and ultimately there at Bank of America, where we saw 10 people get arrested for trespassing. Now, like we said, here in D.C., or like you reported earlier, where in D.C. the protesters don't have any plans of letting up anytime soon. That is the sentiment that we are getting here in Los Angeles, where the demonstrators say that this is not just a one-day thing. This is just the launch of something bigger, and they see the protests happening in New York and in Washington, D.C., and think that this is just part of something much, much larger.
And Ramon, we're showing this video that you just brought back to the studios not long ago, and it looks like there are quite a few people outside that bank there. It's certainly getting big. I know you and I, having both worked in Southern California, you don't see people protesting very often. It's pretty rare. I got to ask you, though, Ramon, what happened when the people went into that bank with that check?
Well, we could tell you that, I mean, these protesters marched through a large part of downtown Los Angeles, right in the middle of lunchtime when all the highly paid bankers were on their lunch break and seeing this. And, of course, they wanted to send a message, and the people at the bank were quite surprised at what they saw and had no idea that these demonstrators were going to be so bold as to, you know, literally occupy the Bank of America lobby. Now, the police came in with their riot gear and eventually did take several people into custody. But this is something that we're seeing just grow and grow. A lot of these people in the past were not politically active, but when they see things like Occupy Los Angeles, Occupy Wall Street, and the signs that are being held up, I mean, these are grievances that so many people in America can can relate to, especially here in Southern California, especially here in the Golden State, where foreclosures and unemployment have been so bad, and it just seems like so many people are sick of it. And even though different people have different grievances, they can agree that something needs to be done to change the system.
Certainly, Ramon, a very good point there. California, one of the hardest hit areas in terms of unemployment, in terms of people losing their homes. I'm wondering, if you got a chance to talk to some of those people outside the banks, what they say their reason is for coming out. Of course, people coming out for different reasons, but did you hear anything that surprised you or stuck out to you?
Well, today's march was primarily focused on foreclosed homeowners. There are so many people who have gotten their notice of eviction or just are so deep underwater, but so many other people who are not even homeowners can relate to them because they see these problems with banks that do not want to lend to small businesses. They see these problems where financial institutions have such such close political clout to Washington, D.C. And these are all messages that seem intertwined between these protesters, and that is why it seems like so many people can relate to it, and so many people are jumping into the cause.
Certainly an interesting thing. Just real quick, Ramon, what are you expecting in the coming days? I know I spoke to people here in D.C. today who are setting up a tent. They say they're not leaving until the troops come home from Afghanistan. Anything in terms of a plan that you're hearing for Occupy L.A. and the bank protest?
Well, the protest will be continuing for many more days. Like I said, the organizers today said this is just the launch of something much bigger. There will be several more protest marches in the coming weeks. Occupy Los Angeles, the encampment that has taken over downtown Los Angeles, is even receiving support from local politicians who say that the protesters can stay there as long as they want, unlike the politicians in New York City who have been very heavy-handed. So we're not seeing any sort of end in sight.
That's true, Ramon. I even heard about your mayor there in Los Angeles, Antonio Villaraigosa, giving out ponchos to people standing out there in the rain. Do sure appreciate your reporting out there. Keep up the good work. RT correspondent Ramon Galindo.